On this site stood the Vartelas family food store, in existence for half a century. Begun in 1905 by two Greek immigrants, John and Padaskavi Vartelas. And on that day, as the water rose, Padaskavi, a widow of only about 5 months, was hearing about the catastrophe. She was encouraged to walk from her home on Upper Franklin Street down to the top of Maple Street. She looked down Maple Street, saw that the Vartelas block, which had been the family sustenance for half a century, had been ravaged and was gone. She simply shook her head, blessed herself, and turned and walked home. That widow and her family moved forward just like the valley. So let us never forget the spirit of resilience, the compassion, the community spirit and camaraderie that defined the valley on August 19th, 1955, and defines the valley today, and stood the valley so well for many days and weeks following that great catastrophe.
Today is a beautiful day, but 60 years ago, on this exact same date, the air was thick with a dense fog, and the sky was gray and ominous. As many of you may recall, the Vartelas buildings were washed away. The bridge that goes across the area here collapsed, and many people of the great city lost their homes and were displaced. As an Ansonia police officer, my own father had the heart-wrenching job of dragging bodies and caskets out of the water that had been uprooted by the nearby cemeteries. Those who responded to this tragedy, helping to save lives, and the families and the individuals who braved the floods in this horrific event are to be honored and remembered. Valley people face adversity and strength of character and come out on top. Although this tragedy took the lives of many throughout Connecticut, I believe, like all the other challenges we have faced, we will face, this has made us stronger and better. Thank you, and have a good evening.
The 22nd, and it had a print from the offices of the New Haven Register, because obviously Main Street was underwater here in Ansonia. The headline then ran, "Impact of Disaster, 68 dead, 70 missing." On page 4, a photograph entitled "The Ruin of Vartelas Block." The next day, Ansonia retail losses, again in 1955 dollars, estimated to be $2.9 million. On the 25th, Ansonia industrial losses to be reported over $25 million.
I worked for a while for then Senator Abe Ribicoff, who was governor at the time of the flood. And I once asked him about the most difficult days for him in public life, and without hesitation, he said, the days of the flood. Communications was cut off. It was before the internet, before wireless. The lines were down. The roads were blocked. There was a sense of horror and, in some cases, panic at the unknown. Him was, in fact, the courage and daring of the people of the valley as they went into the water, defying the ferocity and fierceness of nature. Hard to remember how ferocious that storm was and how fearless the people were who went into the water to rescue, to preserve, and then to rebuild.
But I was 12 years old at the time. And what were my folks concerned about when this happened in New Haven? Well, we had family in Derby. And we wondered what was happening to the Plascons and the Teodosios and the DeTulios. And I see my friend Jamie Cohen here today, whose family was rooted in Derby and in this valley. And I think I saw the mayor Derby here just a few minutes ago. But because this is a community that's so interconnected, and that people have ties and relationships that were rife, and everyone was worried and concerned about what was happening to their loved ones, and to everyone else.